Privilege to be on.
Everybody, welcome to today's episode of Oche Kitchen. We're going to talk about small businesses and LLC, but before I go into that, we're going to do the Nutri Tips. For today's IGS Nutri Tips, I'm going to talk about the MIND diet. So we're going to talk about eating your green leafy vegetables daily, eating your other vegetables like the carrots, tomatoes daily, eating your nuts like groundnuts, peanuts, walnuts at least once a day, your berries at least twice a day, legumes like the beans, the black eyed peas and stuff at least every other day. Whole grains, I think at least 3 servings a day, fish at least once a week, poultry at least twice a week, olive oil always in place of butter, and wine 1 to 5 ounces of glass every day. So today we're going to talk about small businesses and LLC. A good business idea might seem hard to come by, but with some planning and preparation, you can easily launch a small business to supplement your income or become your own full-time boss. Maybe you already have an idea of the business you'd like to start, but while you might feel ready for a new venture and passionate about your idea, you might be looking for some direction. The first step to becoming a successful entrepreneur is finding a business idea that works for you. This could include selling your handmade stuff or items, buying and selling, healthcare agencies, your professional side hustle, like Chris. Chris is an accountant, so he does my taxes for me. Or if you are catering services, if you like, you can do that. Even using your apartment for an Airbnb if you travel a lot. When you figure out what to do and how to go about it, the topic for today would definitely be one of your next best steps, which is LLC. So we are going to learn more about it from our guest today, by the name of Mr. Christopher Clemente, a CPA. Thank you, Chris, once again for joining us.
Hello, Ijeoma and everyone else. I'm so very grateful and honored to be among you guys today.
Thank you. So before you answer the first question, can you introduce yourself and tell us what you do? Then I'll ask the first question.
Okay. Just like Ijeoma said, my name is Christopher Clemente. I am a CPA licensed in New York. I am an IRS enrolled agent. I am a New York State Notary Public. And some of the things that I do, I've been in accounting, the tax and accounting field since about 2006. I do tax work, tax preparation, individual businesses, partnerships, corporations, you name it. I also do accounting, audit. I was actually a senior auditor for one of the for several large CPA firms in New York, and actually one of the largest in the country. So I do audit. I do bookkeeping. I also work for a university here in New York, very prestigious university, and I am an accountant / controller of the office that I work in, and also I do business formations. I create businesses for people, whether that be a LLC, S corp, C corps. I do copyright stuff. I do wills. I do a whole lot of
A whole lot of stuff.
Yes, we see that.
You know, I'm multifaceted. You know,
Which
I don't want to
is
get into everything. You guys might
That's,
talk.
that's the way to go.
Yes.
So the first question is, Benson, did you want to say something? Okay, the first question, what is an LLC and why should I start one?
Okay, so if you want to have a business, anyone, to be honest with you, anybody can have a business, and everybody has the potential of having a business. In the United States, when you make money, right, from any source that you're making money, it has to be taxed somehow, right? So the thing with IRS federal taxation is you get, if you are a United States citizen or a resident, all of your income, your worldwide income is taxed. So that means that if somebody pays you over $600 to do something, say they want you to paint their house, help them paint their house, and they give you $700, you have to report that income, right? And usually the majority of the businesses in the country are what they call like sole proprietorships, mom and pop. I mean, this is anybody, right? If you're making money, it could be a side business, it could be a main business, it could be a startup business, whatever it might be. If you're making money, the IRS needs to get it
Know
shared.
about it.
Right. So they want you to file some type of business tax return. Now, usually, if you're unincorporated, if you don't have a structure, you're just making money, or you're not you don't have a legal when I say legal business, I mean, it's not the business structure is not filed with your state. You have to file a Schedule C, right? Which are regular 1040, and a Schedule C is a business tax return, right? Just part of your 1040. So you are subject to different kind of taxes, and we probably get into that. But now that's just a regular person doing whatever, right? But there are so many other different options that we can have, right? So there are partnerships, there are corporations, these business structures, right? You have S corps, you got C corps, you have limited liability companies, and a limited liability company is a great business structure to have, because you have the best of a lot of different worlds, right? You have limited liability because it's a entity unto itself, just like a C corp, right? Just like Apple, Microsoft, Ford, GM, those are C corps, and those their liability starts and ends with the company. It doesn't extend to the shareholders, right? So limited liability companies actually mimic that same liability protection, right? But now it goes a little further, because an LLC is not it's not a corporation, it's a company. Some people, sometimes you'll see a LLC say, with the title corp, but it really is not a corporation, is a company, right? And with an LLC, the liability is limited to the company itself, but the good thing about the LLC and S corps are that they're what they call pass-through entities, which means that the income and liabilities, the income and expenses, not liabilities, the income and expenses are passed through to the owners, right?
Yeah.
Or the members. In LLC, they have members, they don't have partners, right? So that income is passed directly onto the owners of the company. And what makes it so strategically beneficial is because if you're generating losses inside the LLC, those losses get passed to the owners. Now, the difference between an LLC and a C corp in this regard is that when a C corp incurs losses, especially, most businesses incur losses in the initial stages in the first couple of years of the business.
Yes.
Those business losses are locked up inside of the C corp. You can't pass. They don't get passed to the owners, the share owners, right? And to give you an example of this, how detrimental that can be. One of my clients, his wife had. She listened to, I don't know why she listened to another CPA, but he told her to start a S corp. She has rental properties, right? And he told her to start a C corp, not an S corp, a C corp. And the business was generating tremendous losses. I'm talking about hundreds of thousands in losses because of depreciation, because of improvements. All of those losses were locked up for several years inside that C corp, and you couldn't do anything with them. And my client and his wife, they both couldn't benefit. They couldn't benefit from those losses. So when you have a pass-through entity, those losses get kicked to the owners or to the members, and that's a way where you can adjust your other income downwards. Like say if you have a regular job, you have a W-2, you make $100,000 a year. If you have say $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 in losses from your LLC, that actually adjusts your regular income down. So that means that you have a immediate tax benefit from the LLC.
Okay.
And that's for a multi-member LLC. That's not for a single member LLC. So well, actually, it would be for both. Excuse me.
My friend in England wants to ask you something. I think she wants to ask you.
Yes.
Her hand has been up.
Thank you very much, Chris. Yeah, I didn't want to interrupt your flow. And to a large extent, what you've explained so far, I would say it's universal in the sense that it applies to every country. Is that correct? And that's what I would like you to do for us, for the benefit of our listeners, to let us know if this part of this conversation relates to just US. Yes, this is how it's done in US, as much as you know, or yes, it's the same way it applies. Is the same application
in England, in Africa, and Asia,
yeah, and things like that. Yeah,
I don't do international taxation. I mean, that's just an area I haven't ventured in. So I couldn't give you a definitive answer on that. But business structure, I would have to look at the way these different countries have their different types of businesses. Now, it could be, in some African countries, they could have that. In England, they could have those. I would have to look into the different countries to see the business structures and see exactly how they are formed and how they are taxed and how they are viewed by the local taxing authorities. Because in the United States, LLCs are not formed through the federal government. The LLCs are formed state by state, right? So every state has, a matter of fact, not just the LLCs, any business, right? Whether it's a C Corp, S Corp, partnerships, LLCs, all of those things are state by state, and they all have different variations, right? They have different formation criteria, different things you pay, different accounting, different reporting. So and just in the United States, you have to be able to research or know what the criteria for each one of these taxing authorities is. Like Philadelphia, Pennsylvania and Philadelphia, very different taxation schema than New York or New Jersey or say Florida, which doesn't have income taxes, but they do tax LLC. They do tax businesses.
Okay. Oche, you have a registered business in Nigeria, B? Can you unmute yourself?
Yes,
so what do you have? Do you have an is it like a liability company? What do you have as your how did you register your business in Africa?
It's a limited liability company.
It's LLC, right?
Yes.
Okay, so it's the same thing. Is it the same? Do you have any benefits tax-wise? Do you pay taxes? Because I know Nigerians, so many people evade taxes and everything. Do you pay taxes? Do they come after you? Do they not come after you? How does it work in Nigeria?
They do come after you, but the thing is, why it looks like a lot of people have evade tax is because they give you that 5 years of grace.
5 years?
Yes. Oh. From the date you registered your business, they let you be. But from the 5th year, you start getting text messages every year and telling you that you are owing. Okay. So it's not like they eventually evade them. Somehow, because by the time you register your business, everything, your profile, if you go to CAC, Corporate Affairs, once you type your business name, it comes there, your profile is there, with your home address and everything. So if they really want to hunt you down. So sometimes, because it is also, before you can open a bank account, you need to bring your Corporate Affairs certificate. So from the bank as well, you can be tracked. So when people say that Nigerians evade tax, not all business people evade tax.
Yeah.
Not all. Unless, and when you go out of business as well, they know. Because nothing comes into your bank, into your account, and from time to time, they go to check. But because I have been getting text messages,
right,
which I didn't even realize they were, and they are very, 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 very serious with it. Because at the same time every year, I get that text message reminding me that I haven't paid my tax for the year.
Yeah, and in the United States, it's similar as far as
billion tons of grain.
Your
Ukrainian and another G7 Canada.
I'm sorry, please go ahead. I'm gonna mute her.
Uchi, yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
The government does track your business. That's why you have to incorporate. And you can't just walk into a bank because of the Patriot Act. You can't walk into a bank and say, I want to open up a business account. You can't do that in the United States. They want your articles of organization. They want your EIN number. Some states they actually want your partnership agreement or your operations agreement. So they can track you because it's there's two facets and with the banking world. One, they don't want you laundering money, and two, they don't want you funneling money to terrorists. So that's why they a lot of countries have enacted something similar to the Patriot Act, where you actually have to come with, anytime you open up any kind of bank account, you have to have all of your documentation to support who you are and what the business is.
Okay. All right. So Ifeoma, you go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much. Again,
thank you, Chris.
Thank you, Chris, again for being a part of today's show. Usually we'll come up with some affirmations, things to remind us of things that we are familiar with and things that are around us, but sometimes we take no notice. It's just to remind us that there's a fact that to make soap, you need oil.
Yes.
But to clean oil, you need soap.
Soap, very true.
Okay.
Right.
So this is just the irony of life. And he goes to tell us that everybody needs somebody at one point in time. Do not despise or treat anyone with scorn when they are excelling or falling more than you or feeling more than you. So let's respect each other, and that's how life goes.
Yes.
And my question to you today is,
somebody you wanna somebody raise their hand. You wanna ask them before you?
Isala.
Yeah. Or you wanna go ahead?
Yeah, go on. Ferdinand, yeah, you can ask your question before I am. Let me unmute you. Okay.
He just muted himself back.
I know.
Yeah. I think me and Ifeoma were trying to unmute him at the same time.
Sorry about that, Ferdinand. Go ahead.
Yes. Good evening, everybody.
Hello.
Hi, good evening.
Yes, thank you very much, Chris. I just wanted to portray some of the points that Chris has made, especially as corroborated by the person in Nigeria talking about businesses. Nigeria, the businesses here are regulated by the Companies and Allied Matters Act. There are, acts that regulate the registration of businesses.
Mm.
The CAC, Abi?
Yes, the CAC, they call it CAMA, the Countries, Companies and Allied Matters Act, 2000, and as amended in 2020. So these acts regulate and categorize businesses like the limited liability companies that Chris talked about, which of course in America is LLC. So we have private limited liability companies here, we have public limited liability companies here, we have incorporated trustees here. Now, before you go to open an account in a bank, they will request for your tax identification number, the company tax identification number, that's what is called a TIN. So that way you will be, tracked in terms of tax. And your company will also be requested to return, like how much money do you earn, what is your share capital, and so on and so forth, so that your tax calculations can be made adequately. So these regulations also help the ease of doing business, especially for some people that think that things don't work over here.
I do think so, yeah.
Yeah, things work. It's just that some of the people that are operating here operate under the cover of maybe some regulation.
I think he's frozen.
Yeah, he froze.
Yeah. Okay, Fama, you can go ahead.
Yeah, Chris,
Okay,
before.
I wanted to,
Are you okay? Can you hear me?
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you hear me? Sorry.
Yeah, Ferdinand, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just a point that I'm trying to make, that these things can be generally applicable. It's just that maybe the tax systems, the government systems vary from one country to the other. But there are generally applicable business rules that will guide them, especially by law. Thank you.
At least I know you and Oche are doing legit business. Many people are not.
no, unless you don't want to have the bank account, and even in the past 2 years, they've introduced another thing that is called SCUML. You go to get that certificate.
It's called what?
SCUML. I don't know what that means, but it's a certificate that EFCC gives you. Without it, you can't open a bank account now. You can't open a corporate bank account for your business. And you would be doing yourself a disservice if you refuse to. For example, people cry a lot on Instagram and say they are being scammed and stuff. Nobody has scammed me. Because once I want to get something from you and you give me an account number that bears your name, I'm not paying. But by the time you give me a corporate account number, because for somebody to go through the pains of doing that, number one, the person is serious. Then number two, if the person scams you through the bank, you can get there. So when I see that somebody has gone through that stress, because it is really stressful to open a corporate account, they want this, the remainder of what they are going to ask you is the umbilical cord of your partner.
Okay, that's good. Right.
They want all sorts. I'm telling you. So
I guess that's a form of control. And
Yes.
see that people are doing the right thing.
I didn't know it was a big deal in Nigeria. I thought it was just, I didn't know. Yeah, I'm impressed. Yeah.
You don't mess with you don't mess with CAC. You don't mess with them in Nigeria.
The moment you register your business, you're getting the TIN, the tax identification number. That is just the preamble. It's not even among the things you need to do to be able to.
It could be your social security too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Chris, I've got a question from our Facebook page or Facebook viewers. And the question goes, can the reverse be true? Can individual losses be passed through to the LLC?
No. In the United States, personal losses aren't deductible. If you
this is my favorite. Yeah.
If you say you buy a car, right? You buy a Mercedes Benz and you spend $75,000 on a car, hold it for 2 years, right? And you end up selling it for $30,000, right? So that's actually, when you look at it, that's a $45,000 loss. You cannot claim that on your federal United States federal tax return. right? That's just a loss that you got to eat. But if you buy a Mercedes-Benz for 40,000 and then you resell it for 75,000, you have a $30,000 gain that you have to report on your tax returns. It's either going to be a long-term gain, a long-term capital gain, or a short-term capital gain, depending on how long you kept that capital asset. But personal gains are taxed, but losses are not deductible on your federal tax returns.
Okay, thank you very much. And I hope, yeah.
And
Go
you
on.
cannot, and if you have any kind of, if you say you have losses that can be deducted, if you have capital losses, because you can deduct up to $3,000 of capital losses, say trading stocks and bonds, and you have capital losses, you can deduct, like I said, you can deduct up to $3,000 a year. You can't pass those capital losses to the LLC. It doesn't go. It's not a two-way street, one-way street. It flows from the LLC to the individual, not from the individual to the LLC. And I had one of my clients who was in Maryland. She just asked me if she can claim some rental expenses. She has a rental property and she wanted some of her rental expenses to go to her LLC, two separate entities, and I told her she could not do it.
Thank you very much, Chris. Charles, I hope you got the answer. My question now is, what is the difference between LLC and a corporation?
Okay, so like I kind of explained in the beginning, you have corporations, which are entities in and unto itself, right? These are like corporations in the United States are like they're actually like living beings, right? Because they have their own tax structure. They have their own liabilities. They have all of their like any kind of income that comes in. That's the corporate income. Expenses or the corporate income. It doesn't go out in a regular way. So with C corps, and they use these letters C corps and S corps just to denote the subdivision of the tax law that these businesses fall under. So with a C corp, you can have a private corporation that's like a family, that's registered as a C corp, and it's closely held, right? So you might have 10, 15, 20 people, 100 people who own shares in this company. Or you can have a publicly traded corporation where it's traded on stock exchanges like the NASDAQ or the New York Stock Exchange, right? So they have governing authorities over them, not just the IRS, but they have the SEC, right? The Securities and Exchange Commission. So they regulate the IRS and the SEC regulates the C corps. Now, there's also another subdivision called a S corp. Now, S corp is like an LLC in that it's a pass-through entity, right? It's like a C corp where there's limited liabilities or liability protections, but the income expenses and losses get passed through to the owners. But there are different there are limitations with S corp, like you can't have foreign owners who own the company, and there's a certain amount of partners or owners of the company that you can have. So it is limited, but it is like a LLC in the fact that, like I said, it's a flow through entity where revenue and expenses get flowed through to the individual shareholders or partners, but it's usually with S corp. Technically, they're shareholders.
Yeah, or just so you know how it works. Chris, there's something you told me that I don't think Nigerians have the benefits, because when I was talking to Chris earlier this year about opening an LLC and stuff like that, Chris was explaining to me that I can claim the cups I buy, the pens I use, my computer, everything. Once I open an LLC, anything I buy towards even a car, whatever, I can claim it back in taxes. So, Oche, you guys in Nigeria, do you, like, if you have losses at the end of the year, can you guys get money back from the government? Chris, Ferdinand, you can answer. Yeah,
Not to
Oche,
my
go.
knowledge.
Not to your knowledge, yeah.
Yeah, because I think the government is taxing you to give back to them just for the service.
Yeah.
You know, just for the license, they've allowed you to trade or do whatever under them. That's as far as it goes.
You know, they work for.
As far as if you want any cashback or anything, you go to an insurance company, not
Yes.
because you pay tax. That is how it works here. To my knowledge, I don't know, but this is the understanding I have. If you really want to get it, like in December, the big departmental store next Cash and Carry owned by P2B caught fire, you know, and it was razed to the ground. But he wasn't perturbed because he would always insure his properties. And that's the only way you can get back something and lay claims. But because you pay taxes, you're on your own. No?
Yeah, like here, like Chris was telling me that if I have a home office at home, I can pay, Chris, am I right? I can pay rent to myself or so, like I can claim back. Can you explain like the benefits for us so they will understand? Yeah.
So again, LLCs are not taxed, right? C corps are taxed, right? So the net income that C corps generate, right? So net incomes means revenue minus expenses. And a C corp, that's taxed to the C corp. The C corp is liable to pay that. Now, when you have a multi-member or just an LLC, you have your revenue and then you have your expenses. So that you come to net income, and that net income gets broken down and as far as the ownership percentages to each of the owners or members, and then the members are taxed or either taxed on that net income or the net loss will benefit you according to your other income that you have that's taxable. Now, what you can do is with an LLC, you can rent space. The LLC can rent space from one of the owners or another party. Because remember, LLC is an entity unto itself, right? So you can technically start an LLC and rent space from yourself or rent space from somebody else or a third party, right? Sign a lease and make payments. But the thing is, when you do that, you yourself have to claim the rental income, right? On your tax returns. Now, an expense that you can have is a home office expense for work-related work-related issues, right? And I don't suggest that too much, just to claim that on your income taxes, because that's one of the places that the IRS really hones in on, because there's been so much abuse with claiming home offices in the past years, that for a while pre-pandemic, like if you claimed the home office on your tax returns, it was like, all right, you just opening yourself up to some kind of audit or inquiry from the IRS.
Oh.
Now it's changing a little bit, because during the pandemic, everybody started working from home.
Yes.
Right? And unfortunately, with the Tax Cuts and Job Acts of 2017, the federal government stopped allowing unreimbursed employee expenses to be claimed on your tax returns, under your itemized deductions, right? What everybody used to call the long form, or the 1040 long form. So you can, like, if you were say you were like a construction worker, and you go to work and you have all of you buy tools, you buy uniforms, you have all of this stuff clean, you can claim all of that stuff on your taxes, regular, not even business taxes, right? You can claim all of that stuff as itemized deductions, but then they stopped it. You can't do that for the.
They stopped it?
They stopped it.
So you can't even claim back the lunch, like the toll gate, the travel, the car, the gas, the toll gate?
Right, not with regular employees. You can still do all of that if you have a business.
Yes.
It shifted, like, so regular employees were doing that, but now they can't do it. So what do? You start a business, right? And when you start a business, you can claim all of those lost expenses. You can claim as a business expense.
Okay, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, okay, yeah, as a business. Okay, that's good. So they're saying in Nigeria, they were typing here, shishi. Shishi means nothing, because I asked if they could claim those things back in Nigeria, and they're saying no. Yeah.
Some places. And let me tell you, the funny thing is, in Pennsylvania, they tax you on your revenue, and you do not get a benefit. And this is a state thing. You do not get a benefit from your losses.
Wow.
In Pennsylvania, yes.
Ifeoma, do you know anybody who owns a business in England around you that they can say they can claim things back?
I know they do claim things back. They claim expenses related to work.
The business, yeah, okay.
They do. I'm surprised you don't do it in the States.
No, we do it. They don't do it in Nigeria. Of course,
they don't do it.
Yeah, we do it.
Nigeria, they don't do. Yes, I know it's very popular. They keep receipts for petrol, lunch, and all sorts. Once they could link it to their business. Yeah, they get it back, and that's how they benefit. From what I know, I haven't got a company.
And many people use their LLC to buy their personal cars, but they call it the company car. So
yeah. And you got to be careful about that, because if you get, like in the United States, if you get audited, they want you to be able to substantiate all your expenses. The thing is, in the United States, they as far as business, they do the right thing. They don't tax your revenue, because you can have revenue, but that doesn't mean you have income, right? Because net income is your revenue minus your expenses. Yeah. So technically, you can make $10 million, but that doesn't mean that you can have $10 million in revenue, but that doesn't mean you made $10 million. Because if you paid $11 million in expenses, that means you have $1 million in losses.
Oh, right? That's how these rich people get away with it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. But now, wait. Let me tell you. I'm gonna tell you a secret, right? A secret to positive cash flows and minimizing taxation is having assets that are depreciable, right? And not just buying, not just having, buying like supplies, because you can, supplies you can you utilize in 1 year or one period of, whenever. But when you have depreciable assets like buildings, right? So say you have a business and you bought a building for warehouse or whatever, and you spent $10 million for the building, but you didn't spend $10 million out of pocket. You financed the $10 million. So you're paying for this building. This building is an asset. But what the government allows you to do is allows you to recoup the cost of the building, right? It's called the cost recovery. In the United States, they have different methods of how you depreciate things, but it's what they use mostly is they call it MACRS, MACRS. That's modified accelerated cost recovery system. So with a building, you can depreciate it over a non-residential building. You can depreciate it over 30 years. A residential building, 27 and a half years. So each year you're taking depreciation, right? You're claiming depreciation on your returns, and it lowers your net income. So you can have positive cash flows, but be carrying a loss on the business.
Oh wow.
Yeah, because of because of that depreciation. Depreciation is a monster. That's how, and when people say that you get rich in this country through real estate, that's one of the reasons. The recovery, the cost recovery. you in first maybe decade, you might be generating losses, right, against other income, right? So you got losses in the business, but you got positive cash flows, right? You can say you have $15,000 in rent income, but you have
20,000 in
but you have 10,000 in actual expenses, right? So technically speaking, you should have a net income, positive net income of $5,000. But if you have depreciation expense of $10,000, now you have $5,000 in your hand, right? But then that $10,000, that recovery, that cost recovery, causes you to have to generate a $5,000 loss. So now you got $5,000 in your hand. You don't have tax with that, and then you take that other $5,000 loss, and then what do? You adjust it. You adjust some other positive income. So now that brings down your taxable income by $5,000. So you have tax saving over there, and you have tax saving over here. So you're generating positive cash flows when you do that.
That's beautiful. I wish it happens in Nigeria, because there's so many small big businesses in Nigeria. They'll be doing so well. Better. Thank you. Okay, Oche, take it away.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. There's a reminder that I would like to read out for everyone before I ask my question. But before I read the reminder, Chris, I just want to say I'm in awe, because I'm an accountant. So by the time you reeled out everything you do as an accountant, I doff my head. Okay, so the reminder is, if they want to talk to you, they will. If they want to be with you, they will.
Yes.
If they wanted to make things work, they will. Don't let any relationship you're involved in be one-sided. It's not healthy, and it's not fair on you.
Yes.
Okay, that's it for this yellow moment. So, Chris, my question is, why should I pay a professional to open an LLC for me when I can do it by myself?
You know, that's a very interesting question. A couple of my clients have done that. Right? One of my clients was she was in the airport. I don't know if I told Ijeoma.
Yeah, you told me the story. Yeah.
The airport, she decides, oh yeah, let me open up this LLC. She opened it up, and she did it wrong. Now, and she works for one of the biggest accounting firms in the world. Did it totally wrong. Another person opened up a couple of LLCs, did it wrong. Another person opened up LLC, did it wrong. You can open up an LLC, right, with limited amount of information, and then you know what's going to happen. You're going to have to end up getting somebody like me to clean up a mess.
Yeah.
So the thing is, you might think that you can now. You can do the procedures, right? You can find out, okay, yeah, these are steps that I have to take, right? But the procedures never tell you the intricacies.
Yeah.
Right? They don't tell you how to go about doing. They just tell you this is what you have to do, but they don't tell you how to go about doing it, right? And then they don't give you advice. They don't tell you, what's the best tax structure for you. How should you do things long term? And then once you do the LLC, you have to file tax returns, right? And you have to do tax planning, and most people don't know how to do that. Even if you do start your LLC, I dare you to I dare you to do a 1065 tax return by yourself, or 1120 tax return, or 1120S tax return, or any other partnership returns. You won't be able to do it. You just don't have the most people don't have the knowledge.
Okay.
So
either ways, you are very important.
Yeah.
If I choose to do it by myself, I'm gonna mess it up and I'll need you. And if I choose to just come to you directly, no matter what I do, I just need you. That's
right.
what you're trying to
Yeah.
tell me.
And and there's another part to it too that a lot of people don't understand. You have to have an operations agreement, right? You can go to a law firm and just do the law. They'll do an operations agreement for you. They'll charge you a couple of $1,000, but they're not doing anything else. They'll just do that part. Now you come to a person like me, I'll do everything from start to finish. Like from
Okay, so you do your part and you do the legal parts.
I do everything.
Oh,
Everything. A person
nice.
doesn't have to do anything. When they come to me, it's like, okay, this is the information I need from you. Just give me that. And after it's all done, I'll tell you everything is done. And I'll tell you, what like annual filings and the partnership filing. So and a lot of times I will remind a person, even if they're not utilizing me, I will remind them, listen, you have your partnership tax returns are due on this date, and if you don't do them, you're going to face heavy penalties and fines from the IRS. So yeah, it pays to do something right the first time, because you will be paying more to do it to clean up a mess. And I'm not saying it's as 100% guaranteed that you're going to mess everything up, but
the likelihood is high.
Right, that something is going to get messed up. Right. One of my clients.
And at the end of the day, cheap is not always cheap.
At all, you end up paying double. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. And to give you an example, right? One of a client, he was going into business with he was buying into somebody's business, right? And the person, she's a nurse, and she tried to do like a partnership agreement, a business agreement. And he came to me, he was like, Chris, I need you to look this over. I looked it over. I was like, yo, this. She went online and she just copied and pasted something from online, right?
I would have done something like that.
And he came to me and I was like, no. I said, yeah, I'll do it. And they needed it done that day. So I was like, all right, I took all day to make sure that it was done, but he got it done, and it was done correctly. And the same lady, she was just too smart for her own good. She did not. I reviewed her books. Her books were like somebody in grade school did that.
Oh shit!
Because she wouldn't pay. I offered my services, and I offered my service because remember, I had a relationship with the incoming partner. He and I have a very strong relationship, very strong business relationship. And I offered my service at a discounted rate, and she wanted to do whatever she did. And I reviewed the books, and I could not believe it. I had to audit everything, all the bank statements, and nothing was matching. And I sat down with her, and it was like, I was like, I don't know how you think about how you going to get away with this. I'm serious. So he ended up actually just getting bought out by her because it was too much. It was ridiculous. So a lot of times we can, sometimes we think that we're smarter than we are, and it's not. It really is not about intelligence. It's about having a working knowledge.
It's
right?
true.
Because I have a good working knowledge, but I always have to refresh myself. And like I said, I do all of these business formations in different states. So anytime I do a business formation, I don't care if I've done it a million times in a specific state. I'll go and I'll look because things change, right? Requisites change. There might be something that you have to do that they just start, right? So you have to, just acclimate yourself and be ready to learn about, to look into something, do an investigation, do your due diligence to see if something is different and if you're doing it right this time.
Yeah. I think most people do it because they want to save money.
Yeah.
But you end up, spending more and,
Right. Or being in the same position.
So, there at some point you mentioned the lawyers and the part they play. We have a lawyer in our midst.
Benson asked a question.
Yeah, I wanted to know if what's his take on this? At what point would I be needing his help? Onyem, are you there?
Hey, good afternoon. So sorry, is that
Hi,
a question for me? Hi everyone.
Yes. Hi, how are you?
I'm fine. You?
Hi, Chris.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, Onion, what's your question?
Oh, I was saying that if I want to open an LLC, how can you help me as a lawyer?
How can I help you as a lawyer?
Mhm.
Yeah, I'll collect the information and open the. I'll have to make sure you have an understanding of, what you want to do. Because some people will come to you and say, "Oh, I want to open an LLC." You ask them what is an LLC and what do you know about it, and they don't know. They just heard the word LLC. So you now go ahead and asking them, in their layman's and general terms, what
It
do you
happened to
want?
me. Chris explained to me. Yeah.
Yeah, what do you want to achieve
Yeah.
with this business, or what do you have in mind? Then we can, help you determine the kind of entity structure that is suitable for you. So you might come in with LLC in mind, and you might what will
Stop
suit
getting
your
something
business or
else.
what your intention is as sole proprietor, or you want to go a corporation. Corporation, like Chris has tried to explain, is a more sophisticated way, that can go public. You have private corporations, it can go public, and it has different regulations, more stringent regulations than the LLC. So first of all, when you come in, like I said, you ask me, you tell me what you want to do. After hearing from you, I will advise you on which route to go and give you if you go this route, look at your benefit and advantages. And that's just for setting it up. But everything, bookkeeping, filing your taxes, and some of them goes to the CPA, which is where Chris comes in. Because I don't know figures. I don't even do my taxes. So when it comes to that, but you can go online. Most states has made it very easy. You can go online, file your articles of incorporation, get your certificate of good standing, and just set it up first. And then every other thing that goes into maintaining. Some of these things are just LLC for something. They are not true LLC. You see somebody, a nurse, wanted to do something. Okay, let me file LLC so that everything can run through the LLC. Actually, LLC, most people don't know, it's a limited liability company. It means that your liability is limited to the assets of the company because it has its own legal legal entity, different from you. All right. So if your LLC does something, they can only go to the access of the LLC until they exhaust it. So if they find like any wrongdoing or any fraud, then there's something they call lifting the veil of incorporation. So they can go on there to see who are behind those corporations or those companies to go after their personal assets, but it rarely happens anyway.
Yeah.
But that's basically, what it is from my own angle.
All right, thank you.
Okay, Oche, Oche, can
Chris,
you
I think somebody was trying to ask Chris. Some person is trying to ask how to
I
start.
wanted
Is it Chris, the author, the
No,
accountant?
sorry, Chris Clemente. Chris Clemente.
Okay.
Sorry, Chris Clemente.
I just want to reiterate what Chris said. One of the most important things that you can do is sit down with somebody, a CPA or even an attorney, before you start anything. That way you and Chris is correct when because I had these conversations. You need to figure out what exactly is in your best interest, not what you necessarily want to do, but what is in your best business interest. And you must have those conversations.
Can I start the World War III now? So if you want to register a company, should we run to the accountant or should we run to the solicitor or to the lawyers? Where do we go?
Like Chris Aguocha said, Chris Clemente is better for you because he has the figures. He helps with the figures and everything.
Either way,
that's what I understood.
You can equally do it yourself. Either way you go, you're right. But what I advise people, being a professional, is it happens in law, especially immigration. You see people who think they can do it. They get into a bind, they start looking for a lawyer. So whatever thing you want to do, even if you think it's easy, there are some nuances that might make sense to you, but it doesn't follow the letters of the law. You think you have actually understand, but you don't. So that's where a professional comes in. So I will always advise people when you have headache, don't self-medicate, go to a doctor.
Yes.
When you want to file your taxes or when you have any tax issues or
We're coming to you.
Go to a CPA. When you have any legal issue, formation, yes, you can talk to a lawyer too.
Yes.
They can guide you and determine which one that protects you in terms of liability. Then in terms of bookkeeping and all those things, CPA is there. So I know they form the business, help you in maintaining your books.
Who is a CPA, Chris? Who is a CPA?
Chartered Public Accountant.
Okay. Yeah, like chartered accountant in Nigeria. Like they call it chartered accountant in Nigeria.
Yeah, I can remember.
Chris, we have Chris Clemente, we have questions for you.
Okay.
Somebody asked, can those of us trying to register an LLC have your contacts? That's the first one.
Oh, absolutely.
Then he asked, I want to register a logistics company. How do I go about it?
Bensi, are you here? Are you in the United States?
Yeah, he's in the Queens, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, just call me. And we can
I'll give him your number here.
Yeah. Anybody can just call me. Because there's again, we have to we have to have a conversation. Because not all businesses are the same, and not every area, even in New York City, it's a little different in every borough to effectuate your LLC.
Chris, where are you?
I am well,
sorry.
I live in Mount Vernon, but I'm a New Yorker, a New York City guy.
Yeah.
But I have
Oh, okay, Mount Vernon, okay.
Yeah. Well, it's right outside.
Mount Vernon, that's upstate New York, right?
Westchester.
Westchester County. It's right outside of the Bronx. It's connected to the Bronx.
That's upstate, right?
New Rochelle, Pelham.
Yeah, that's upstate.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't say upstate, but
no, not upstate, no.
Yeah. It's right there. It's connected to the Bronx. It's connected to New Rochelle, and it's connected to
upstate is Poughkeepsie.
Yeah. That's like for me, that's the
Rockland County.
Oh gosh, what I was about to say something. Oh, again, I do LLC formation, business formations in multiple states: New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, Pennsylvania, Maryland, Georgia, Tennessee, Florida. I'm all over the place.
All right. Thank you, Chris. Thank you so much for coming today. And Chris Aguocha, thank you for chiming in. It's Mama, do you have time to end the show? You there? All right, thank you everybody for joining us. Chris Clemente, we appreciate you coming today. Sorry, somebody just came in now and is making noise. All right, so the takeaway for today is if you want to open a small business, the best thing for you to go is go talk to your accountant, lawyer, do what you got to do, and then it's better, like Chris Aguocha said, it's better not to self-medicate. So the best thing for you to do is, I know you can still go online and print forms and do it yourself, but the best thing is go talk to your CPA, sit down, let them talk about the type of business, what's going to be the best option for you, and then you take it from here. So anybody who wants to reach out to Chris Clemente for LLC, Benson, I'll send you the number, holla at me, and we do it. Thank you everybody for joining us. Thank you, Chris.
You're so welcome. I really
Bye,
appreciate
everybody.
it.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
See you same time next week. Bye.
Bye, people.
Bye.
Bye.
And bye.
Bye. I closed the show for you. Where were you?
Thank you very much.
She was AWOL.